My name is Edward. For the past 7 years, I've been working as a driver for a small bus company. My route mostly takes me through rural areas, especially those places where no other service goes. Most of my passengers are elderly or people who live far from the city. I like my job. It's peaceful, solitary, and I never found it strange, at least not until that night, the night I picked up the last passenger. It was a cold November night. Clouds hung low in the sky, and a light drizzle was falling. My bus was almost empty, just 2 passengers, both of whom had gotten off at earlier stops. Now I was heading toward the last stop, on the edge of an old deserted village called Harrowville. The village used to be inhabited, but now only 5 or 6 houses remained. As the bus slowed down, I saw her, standing near the bus stop, wrapped in a long coat, a black hat on her head, and holding an old worn-out bag. I opened the door. She stepped in and quietly asked, "Does this bus go beyond Harrowville?" I replied with surprise, "No, ma'am. This is the last stop. After this, we turn back." She nodded and walked to the back seat. I started the bus again. The road was dark, the streets deserted. I glanced at the rearview mirror. She sat silently, eyes staring out the window. A strange chill crept through the seats, as if a shadow had boarded the bus along with her. 5 minutes later, she spoke. "Have you ever felt like some journeys don't let you return?" I startled and looked at the mirror. "What do you mean?" "Sometimes people don't go to a place, they become a part of it." Her words were strange. I tried to take it lightly. "Harrowville isn't the kind of village someone could become a part of." She smiled, but it was an empty smile. "Maybe I'm the last passenger who lost the way back." I sped up the bus. On both sides of the road, trees looked even darker in the rain. Finally, we reached the village. I stopped the bus and opened the door, but she didn't get off. "Ma'am, we've arrived." She lifted her head. "No, we haven't. The real destination is still ahead." And at that very moment, the bus shut down. The engine, the lights, everything. I opened the hood, but there didn't seem to be any issue. When I turned back, she was standing at the door. "The bus hasn't broken down, Edward. You've changed your path." "How do you know my name?" I asked. "I know the names of all those who take this road for the last time." I looked back. The entire village was drowned in darkness. No lights, no sounds. Fog thickened around the bus. Panicked, I shut the door and tried to restart the bus. And miraculously, it started. But the road was gone. We were now on some old broken path I had never driven on before. The trees around seemed to reach out, their branches brushing against the bus. "Where are we? Where are we going?" I yelled. She softly replied, "This is the place where those come who chose solitude all their life. A lonely job, a lonely journey, a lonely end." I slammed the brakes, but the bus didn't stop. She, or maybe something else, was driving now. The bus only stopped when we reached a lake. No stars in the sky, just the bus, the water, and her. She said gently, "You won't go back now, Edward. You've silenced your soul with years of loneliness. Now you're ready to hear the voices that call from here." Voices rose from the water, sobs, cries, and names being whispered. "Who are they?" I asked. "People like you, who forgot the way back." And then she stepped off the bus, walked toward the water, and vanished into the mist. I tried to follow her, but my legs wouldn't move. The bus doors shut by themselves. I was no longer the driver, just another passenger. When I looked in the mirror, the bus was filled with people, all silent, eyes down, as if they all knew there is no return from here. And then the bus started moving, into the darkness, into the silence. And I, onto that solitary journey where the last stop is only one thing: to be forgotten. My name is James. For the past 5 years, I've been working alone in an old building. It's located in a quiet part of London, where even during the day, you can hear the wind whisper through the air. This office was given to me by a friend who has since moved abroad. The building has just 2 rooms attached to an old warehouse. Inside, there's only a small cabin, an old fax machine, and a wooden desk. It's the perfect place for writing. I'm a freelance journalist, and silence is a blessing for me. But silence isn't always a blessing. The first time I noticed something strange was one night when the cold had become unusually intense. I shut the door, turned on the heater, and got lost in my files. That's when I heard soft footsteps behind me. Startled, I turned around, but no one was there. Probably a cat, I told myself, trying to stay calm. But the next night the sound returned. Same spot, same rhythm. Like someone walking up behind me and then stopping. But no one was ever visible. I installed a CCTV camera. The next morning I reviewed the footage, and what I saw left me stunned. The door was closed, I was sitting at my desk writing, and right behind me, the chair moved on its own. I instantly deleted the video and convinced myself it must have been a draft or some vibration. But the next day, when I arrived at the office, a page was lying on my desk. Written in dark ink, it said, "You hear, but you do not understand." My hands started shaking. No locks had been broken. No windows were open. This was happening only to me. I told my friend Mark, who works in psychology. He said it might be a hallucination or perhaps punishment for some forgotten sin. I laughed. I've never harmed anyone in my life. Mark remained silent for a moment, then said, "Sometimes what we forget returns to remind us." That night, I decided to record everything. Camera on, lights off. I sat hunched over the desk writing. At exactly 2:30 a.m., the door slowly opened on its own. The camera clearly captured it moving. But there was no breeze, no airflow at all. A shadow entered, completely black, shaped like a human, but it had no face. I tried to get up, but my body was numb. The shadow came close to my desk and whispered softly into my ear, "Do you remember who you locked in?" My mind exploded with memories, a flood of images. That day during college when my friends and I went into the basement of this very building and, as a joke, locked a weak boy, Elias, inside. He screamed, begged for help for hours. We laughed, and someone locked the door. When we returned the next day, he was gone. We assumed he had escaped, but maybe the truth was something else. I ran toward the door, but the shadow blocked my way. You heard his voice, but you kept the door closed. Now, the door is closed for you as well. On the wall in front of me, written in blood, were the words, "The one who hears will now only listen, forever." At that moment, the office lights went out. The room turned cold, like a frozen grave. My ears filled with screams. Dozens, maybe hundreds of voices, all repeating the same words. "Listen, listen, listen." I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was in a hospital. The doctor told me I had been unconscious for 2 days. The police had found me passed out in the office. Mark came to visit. He just said, "Elias won't leave you now. You're his companion in solitude." I returned home, but now I hear voices everywhere. Whether doors are open or closed, I constantly hear someone walking, laughing, crying. Sometimes behind the door, sometimes inside the mirror, and sometimes inside my own shadow. Working alone is no longer peace for me, it's punishment. The Last Shift, a terrifying true tale told by David Carter. My name is David Carter. I work night shifts as a security guard. It's not exactly a thrilling job, just me, a bunch of surveillance monitors, and a whole lot of silence. Most people say it's boring, but for me it was peace. No bosses breathing down your neck, no ringing phones, no stress. Just the darkness and me. That was until a few weeks ago, when everything changed. It started with Building 47, an old isolated warehouse on the edge of the industrial district. Rust on the doors, flickering tube lights, and a stench of dampness that clung to the walls like mold. The first time I stepped into that building, I felt it. A presence, like eyes watching me. I laughed it off. Just nerves, right? New job, creepy place. Anyone would feel a little weird. Night 1. The first night passed by mostly uneventful. I made a cup of instant coffee and settled into the security room, keeping an eye on 6 dusty monitors. Each camera showed a different angle. Loading dock, main corridor, storage rooms, and an abandoned office wing. I was sipping my coffee, half listening to the hum of electricity, and suddenly, camera 6 cut out, just static, for about 7 seconds. When the feed returned, the loading dock door was slightly open. My stomach dropped. I knew that door had been shut tight. I grabbed my flashlight and went to check it out. But when I reached there, it was completely closed, locked. No signs of forced entry. I convinced myself it was a glitch, a harmless tech issue. But something inside me wasn't convinced. Night 2. I brought headphones on the second night, put on some light instrumental music to keep my nerves in check. The silence was heavy, thick, almost unnatural. That's when I heard it, a whisper. "David." I pulled off my headphones, heart pounding, looked around. Nothing. I checked the cameras, and on camera 3 I saw a flicker, a shadow. It moved quickly, like someone had just turned the corner at the far end of the corridor. I grabbed my flashlight and sprinted there, but the hallway was empty, just peeling walls, dust, and echoes. Night 3, a warning. On the third night, I arrived a bit early and saw an old janitor sweeping near the main gate, thin, slow, and silent, like he'd been part of the building for decades. I asked him, "Hey, do you ever feel weird here at night?" He paused, looked at me with hollow eyes, and said in a low voice, "You should leave, son. This building, it doesn't sleep." Before I could ask more, he dropped his broom and walked away into the darkness, faster than I thought his old legs could carry him. That was the last time I saw him. Night 4, a blood trail, 2:17 a.m. A scream, loud, piercing, human. I jumped from my seat and scanned the cameras. The sound came from somewhere near corridor 2B. I rushed down the hallway with my flashlight. That's when I saw it. A bloody handprint on the wall, still wet, still dripping. Below it, faint smears led to a small rusted metal door I had never noticed before. The paint around it was peeling, and across the top, crudely written in red paint, or blood, were the words, "Do not open." The weird part? That door wasn't on the floor plan. Curiosity outweighed fear. I turned the handle. It creaked open, revealing a narrow stairway leading downward, into darkness. I didn't go in. Not that night. Night 5, the last broadcast. This was supposed to be my last shift. I told myself I'd finish the week, take my paycheck, and never come back to Building 47. At 3:09 a.m., all 6 cameras went black, one by one. Then just one came back online, camera 1. And what it showed chilled me to the bone. It was me, sitting in my chair, still, frozen, and behind me, a figure, tall, shadowy, standing completely still. I whipped around in panic. Nothing. The room was empty, or so I thought. I felt it next, a cold breath across the back of my neck. I wasn't alone. I grabbed the door handle to run. It wouldn't budge. I was locked in. The camera screen now showed the figure moving closer to me, slowly, deliberately. And then, everything went black. The morning after. When the manager arrived at 6 a.m., the security room was empty. My flashlight, ID badge, and half-finished coffee cup were still there. But me? I was gone. No trace. No footage. The hard drive from the DVR was completely wiped. All except one still frame. From camera 1, it showed me, sitting in the chair, and behind me, the shadow. If you're hearing this, remember one thing. Never work alone. And whatever you do, never take the last shift